Alright. The sweet scent of Goda's specially made pumpkin tea spread throughout the parlor, and the calm atmosphere grew more cheery and excited.
Mama, 見て! Mama, 見て! パンプキンのクッキーだよ! ハロウィンだ!
あら、本当ね。この甘い匂いはかぼちゃなのかしら。はい。
今日のお紅茶は珍しいパンプキンのフレーバーなんですよ。
Yeah, sounds good.
とっても美味しいですから、最初はぜひストレートで召し上がってみてください。
姉さん、袖。気をつけて。へえ、かぼちゃの紅茶なんてあるんだ。ゴーダさんはよくこんなのを見つけてくるよな。
美味しいね。なかなかいいよ。
Wait, hold on a second. What was that? Like what the canon said before. I mean, yeah, it is understandable to be careful with holding like drinks, otherwise you would stain yourself, like including your sleeves, but that felt a little random at the same time. I don't know, maybe that's just me.
かぼちゃの自然な甘みが感じられるね。かぼちゃを紅茶にね。
Unless this is a reference to Shannon's clumsiness from the earlier parts, and Kanon trying to prevent any mistake from the get-go. In which case, okay.
でもよ、かぼちゃと言ったら天ぷらが一番だよな。
かぼちゃじゃないの、パンプキンなの。パンプキンはかぼちゃじゃないの。パンプキンなの。
Maria seemed to be complaining about the difference of nuance between Japanese and English words. But it looked like Angie thought kabocha and pumpkins were entirely different things. Everyone laughed. But Angie cocked her head to one side discontentedly, not understanding what was so funny. Just when it looked like she was about to get in a bad mood and start grumbling, Maria started teaching her a cookie game, and Angie immediately became engrossed with that distraction. Then, the clumping sound of approaching heavy footsteps could be heard from the hallway. Oh shoot. It's Grandpa K! Brace yourselves, folks! Having a pretty good idea of whose footsteps they were, the relatives strained their backs. And those quick footsteps stopped for a moment just outside the parlor door. As though someone was taking a deep breath and setting up a dramatic pause. Then, as the door exploded open, Kenzo, with Genji and Nanjo standing behind him, yelled out loud.
Happy Halloween!
I'm just gonna go along with the crazy while I internally scream out of fear of this guy. Happy Halloween!
And trick or treat!
Trick or treat!
Motherfucking trick or treat, yo! The cousins shouted it back, and the adults returned the greeting too, looking a little embarrassed. Angie alone stood there with her mouth open, unable to comprehend what had just happened.
よくぞ来たぞ我が孫たち。お菓子はくれなきゃいたずらしてしまうぞである。
ほらマリア。
おじいさま、ハッピーハロウィーン。今年はすごいの、驚いて驚いて。
Maria picked up a present that had been hidden behind the sofa. All the other relatives were suddenly holding a similar packages as well.
ほら、エンジェも。これをおじいさまに渡して。
Kiria handed Angie a neatly wrapped present.
おお、マリア！いつもありがとう。
Oh!
おじいちゃんは嬉しいぞ。
As Kinzo took Maria's present, a smile broke out across his face, and he rubbed his cheek up against it. Oh my god.
親方様、
So extra.
威厳をお忘れでございます。
そうであったな。嬉しいぞ、我が孫マリアよ。お菓子をくれたので、今年はいたずらは勘弁してやろうぞ。
今度はおじいさまの番。お菓子をくれなきゃいたずらしちゃうぞ。
心得ておるぞ。源氏、こちらを。
Genji fished through something that looked like Santa Claus's sack and pulled out a present addressed to Maria, handing it over to Kenzo. Something like Santa Claus's sack? Kenzo? Oh my god, we are gonna get a Christmas episode!
Oh boy, it's Santa!
Ho, ho, ho. Santa has something very special in his sack for you two. Oh, Maria! おじいちゃんからのプレゼントであるぞ。これはのかわいいぞ。マリアにあげるのが惜しいわい。
親方様、威厳。
これは後宮家当主からのマリアへのプレゼントである。これはそのかわいい後宮家の貫禄にふさわしい品であるぞ。心して受け取るがよい。
ありがとう、おじいさま。大好き。
おお、マリア、我がかわいい孫よ。
What the fuck is happening? Is Kenzo melting right now like the Wicked Witch? Except it's with cuteness?
おお、マリア、我がかわいい孫よ。ちっちゃちっちゃちゃ。
By this point, even Genji had to give up on Kenzo's dignity. Dignity? The fuck is that? Can you eat it? Still, the dignity of the family head had lasted a full 10 seconds longer than usual this year.
おじいさま、ハッピーハロウィン。これは僕からです。
ハッピーハロウィン。これは私から。気に入ってくれるといいんだけど。
おお、ジョージにジェシカ。今年もありがとう。私は嬉しいぞ。
With tears streaming down his face, Kenzo hugged George and Jessica.
そしてバトラーか。よく戻ってきたな、後宮家に。寂しかったぞ、この6年間。
いや、まあハッピーハロウィン気に入ってくれるかわからねえけど。
良いのだバトラーよ。言いたいこともあろう、聞きたいこともあろう。だが今はそれはなしだ。
じいさん、
よく後宮家に戻ってきてくれたな。私は嬉しいぞ。
Slowly, Kenzo moved forward and hugged Balor. Balor drew back at first, but he then understood Kenzo's feelings and hugged him back. Angie watched this scene play out, shocked. Was Umineko Kenzo always this kind of person? Oh. Okay. Now we have Angie questioning things for the first time. In a meta sense, I guess.
エンジェ、次はお前の番だぞ。
ほら、それをおじいさまに渡して。
あ、
Angie didn't have a clue what was going on. She took the present her mother had given her and walked forward timidly. Kinzo's face, which had been looking so cheery a second ago, seemed to become much sterner the moment Angie stepped forward. No, it hadn't become stern. That expression was the one always worn by Kinzo inside Angie's mind. This was Fushirimiya Kinzo. He was fickle, short-tempered, always with a stern expression on his face. And the most terrifying person in the Ushirimiya family. Well, you know, at first glance, I feel like I can see what Balor is trying to do with this game, showing the good side of the family for Angie's sake. And that includes Kinzo doing a complete 180 here. Thing is, he does such a 180 that it makes it all the more scary for Angie when it switches back to that stern old Kinzo that we know. Let's see. It felt as though the world had gone suddenly quiet. I had only done it when it was my turn to step forward. Why? Why only for me? But even so, isn't this the way it should be? Isn't this the Ushirimiya Kinzo I expect? The Ushirimiya Kinzo I understand? I was like a puppet carrying tea. I walked forward, bewildered, with the present held out in front of me, and stopped in front of Kinzo. Without letting his expression change in the slightest, Kinzo slowly reached out and touched the present. No. And now back to sunshine and rainbows, Kinzo. In an instant, Angie was caught in a firm embrace, present and all. Kinzo's white beard rubbed against her cheek.
おじいちゃんは嬉しいだ。私はこんなにも可愛らしい孫たちを持てて嬉しい。嬉しくて涙が止まらん。
親方様、鼻水が。ついでに威厳もお忘れなく。
源氏、すまぬ。
Now you're just speaking gibberish. As the old man blew his nose, he didn't look like he could possibly be anyone other than a kindly grandpa, overcome with tears at his grandchildren's gifts.
ありがとう、エンジェ。聞けば体調が悪いのに無理をしてきてくれたそうだな。おじいちゃんは本当に嬉しいぞ。さあ、お前にはこれだ。
He pressed a large gift box to Angie's chest. She finally realized that all the presents given out by Kinzo are wrapped differently and in boxes of different sizes.
エンジには何だろうな。毎年じいさまが誰に何を送るか自分で考えてるそうだぜ。これだけの大人数をよくやるもんだよな。
毎年自分で。
He does. What? Every year? He picks... what? Himself? This bizarre ceremony happens every year. The cousins were all happily chattering about their Halloween presents would be this year. Maria came up to Angie and suggested that they compare the weights of their presents. But for some reason, Angie just stared blankly. After that, the adults also handed their presents to Kinzo one by one, receiving a gift in return, along with considered words about their health and questions about how they've been doing recently. And then, after watching to see that all exchanges had been completed, Gora appeared and announced that lunch was ready.
そうか、準備ができたか。さあ、一同諸君、ゴーダ自慢のランチに舌鼓を打とうではないか。さあさあ、食堂へ移動しよう。
どうぞ皆様、ご案内いたします。
プレゼントは私どもでゲストハウスのお部屋へお運びいたします。
どうぞ置いたままでお食事に向かわれてください。
The elders stood up, leaving their presents where they lay on tables and sofas, and followed Kinzo out of the parlor. Only Angie remained standing there, stunned, as she clutched the gift box Kinzo had given me. Never once had Goda's lunches betrayed expectations. When Hideyoshi said that lunches were the only reason anyone ever came to these family conferences, everyone laughed and nodded. Delicious food has a way of keeping conversation flowing. You've gotten so tall. How have you been lately? Oh, not bad. It was a fun meal, with everyone asking each other about the latest and laughing together. With everyone asking each other about the latest and laughing together. The Ushinomiya family sat at meals in a specific ranked seating order. So the adult siblings, the cousins, and the spouses all sat in groups. And that made it even easier for conversation to flow smoothly. Truly the most peaceful and complete dinner thus far. Like, everyone is here, all happily eating and talking to each other. Even Kinzo. I mean, Erika is not here, but excluding her, like, the entire family is here. Kind of surreal after such a long time, but it is still something I have always wished. Like, peace between all of them. Now, when it comes to Angie contemplating here, well, I guess it is not that much of a surprise that I as well am contemplating on it, actually. Like, out of all the family members, Kinzo has always been among the highest in terms of being a bad person, and for him to be like this, like, even a 6-year-old Angie realizes quite the difference, and I think that it is done on purpose. Maybe it's not necessarily that Bella wrote Kinzo to be like this because this is his good side, although there is partially that. But rather, who knows, maybe he wrote him like this in such a jarring way to force Angie to contemplate on this for the first time. His purpose was for this to kickstart Angie into questioning things and, begin her journey into reaching a conclusion by the end of this. I think that's what's going on here, in my eyes, but I could be wrong. Kinzo, he was the best option for this here because while the family members have always appeared fine on the surface, making it a tiny bit more difficult to notice the bad side for them, I guess there's also Rosa, who is quite an easy read at times, but besides that, it is a bit difficult to notice the bad side for them, unless pushed to extremes. But for Kinzo, he always wore his bad side on his sleeve. He is like an open book of douchebaggery, so it would surely be more noticeable when a change happens. I mean, if we were to apply the good old rule of a piece will never do things against their personality, like if we were to apply that rule, then I guess we can start believing that Kinzo can be Santa Claus. Maybe not to the extent that we see here, but still has some level of kindness in him for the cousins, so... Angie had withdrawn slightly from the cousins' chat and was looking around the dining hall. What are Kinzo and the adult siblings doing? Their conversations seemed to be peaceful and fun. Most of the time, the siblings were mothers or fathers. Most of the time, the siblings were mothers or fathers of their own households. However, when they gathered together by themselves in front of Kinzo, that burden was lifted from their shoulders, and they became young and bright as though they'd gone back to being kids again. Rudolph, who was usually an easygoing father, but one with a sense of dignity, became so bright and cheery in this group that it almost looked like there was another battle. Even Kinzo looked peaceful and relaxed. He didn't say a word about money or the inheritance. In fact, he didn't even insult his children or call them incompetent. He just looked like a happy old man, genuinely pleased to have his whole family together for the only time this year. And the group of spouses was just as harmonious. The conversation jumped from topic to topic on motherly issues like their children's education, the running of the household, and family health. Hideyoshi and even Nanjo happily joined in. And what about the cousins? There was no way that such a fun dinner table with such a fun group of friends could fail to be raucous. Maria was in her element, showing off her knowledge of Halloween trivia. George and Jessica would nod in understanding. Bella would say something stupid, and Maria would laugh at him. If I wanted, I could easily join in on the conversation. And I could easily slip out of it too by shifting my attention to the dessert. It was happiness, both fun and natural. Yeah, I felt like I was enjoying a pleasant doze. I felt like I was enjoying a pleasant doze in the rays of the springtime sun. Look guys, I can hold a spoon with my nose. Oh wait a minute, I don't have a nose. It must be magic.
天気予報によると今夜あたりからだいぶ崩れるらしいな。
台風らしいからな。こりゃ今年も一泊じゃ済まなさそうだぜ。
私は一向に構わんぞ。一泊と言わずいつまででも泊まっていくがいい。可愛い孫の顔が何日でも見られるなら私は毎日雨乞いをしてもよいぞ。
よしてよ、仕事があるんだから。
お父様が島を出ればいいんじゃない？そうすればもっと好きな時に孫の顔を見られるでしょうに。
確かに風情はあるが離島の暮らしはそろそろ答えるんじゃありませんか。
都会はうるさい。私の家族だけしかいない静かな島が一番だ。私はここを気に入っている。
でも六軒島じゃいざという時お医者様を呼ぶのにも時間がかかるわ。
同感よ。もうお父様も年なんだからせめて新島に引っ越すべきだと思うわ。
私はもう老いた。家族だけに囲まれて静かに暮らしたい。そして私は幸せ者だ。それを実現できるこの島があるのだから。
お父さん。
しんみりさせてしまったな。諸君、これでゴーダのランチは終了だ。孫たちよ、明日からはずっと雨らしい。晴れているのは今しかないぞ。バラをめでて それから浜辺を散歩してはどうか。
そうですね。じゃあみんなそうさせてもらおうか。
Going to the beach like good old times? Yeah, count me in. Let's hear some more embarrassing stories about Beller.
バラをめでて浜辺を散歩する。貝殻拾いしてガラス拾いもする。
ガラス拾い？なんだそりゃ、危ないな。
ガラスのかけらが波に現れて丸くなって綺麗な石になって流れ着いてるんだよ。忘れたかよバトラー。昔一緒に拾ったろ。
ああ、あれガラスのかけらだったのか。俺はてっきりそういう綺麗な石なんだと思い込んでたぜ。
エンジはガラスの石見たことある？ない。じゃあ行こう。マリアが教えてあげるよ。行こう行こう。でも早い者勝ちだよ。マリアが全部拾っちゃ
う。なら私も負けないぜ。誰が一番綺麗で大きなガラス石を拾えるか競争しよ
う。やれやれ。ここは一つ童心に戻るとするかな。
Yeah. Whoever finds no glass gem gets to share an embarrassing story about themselves.
負けねえぞ。
じゃあ僕たちは浜辺へ行ってきます。
いとこ同士のんびりしてくるがよい。
And the cousins rose from their seats and noisily left the dining hall. Maria grabbed Angie's hand and dragged her along. However, Angie's expression was vague and absent-minded, the opposite of Maria's full smile. The cousins walked along the water's edge, playing. They searched for bits of glass, polished by the waves to become small and gem-like. They caught up on news of each other's lives, and joked around. They wrote words in the sand. They chased the receding waves and ran away from the coming ones. The cousins enjoyed this time they had to themselves.
待て待てマリア、今度は許さねえぞ。
転ぶと怪我をするよ。二人とも気をつけて。
風が強くなってきたかな。そろそろ引き上げた方がいいかもしれねえぜ。
そうだね。空も曇ってきた気がするよ。バトラ君、マリアちゃん、そろそろおしまいにして一度ゲストハウスに戻ろうか。
Wait, hold on. Still haven't found the glass gem, goddammit. You all found one but me. Just give me a couple more minutes here, please.
やだ、もっと遊ぶ。
こらこら、聞き分けろおい。じゃあこれでおしまいだ。ほら、俺のガラス石やるよ。
おい、本当？ありがとうバトラー。これで一番数が多いのはマリアだから優勝だね。
エンジェ、大丈夫か？
どうしたエンジェ、少し元気ないぞ。
疲れたんだよ。さあ、みんなで戻ろう。
True, Angie's expression probably looked tired. However, Bella alone thought he saw something else in it.
なんかあったのか？話してごらん。
なんでもない。
She said that, but something in her expression showed that she wasn't satisfied for some reason. However, since Angie wouldn't say what it was, and Matter couldn't think of anything. And that was the limit of what he could figure out. So he squeezed her small hand, silently letting her know that she could tell him whenever she was ready. Yeah, it seems such a bright sunny day until a short while ago. Ah, darn it. Stupid gems. Alright, well, I guess it's time to tell one embarrassing story about myself. Okay, well, I guess I have one right now. So a couple of months ago, I was in a voice chat with a few pals of mine, and we did karaoke. We each sang a bunch of songs. Like, of course, me being the best there, I sang one song that I wanted to there, and yep, I did. I did sing a part of the song with the instrumental of the song playing in the background and all. Like, the problem was that the others in the chat did not hear the instrumental, so all they could hear was me singing. I died once again of embarrassment that day. However, the sky had turned gray, and the wind had started to feel more annoying than pleasant. If they waited around, they might have to deal with scattered raindrops as well.
Nanda なんだかげんなりするぜ。
でも短い時間だったけど童心に戻れて楽しかったよ。
このガラス石早くママに見せてあげるの。マリアが優勝したってママに教えるの。
にひひ俺が見つけたやつを譲ったんだけどな。
マリアがもらったからマリアのものなの。
Actually, hold on a second. Glass gems. This actually got me thinking about something that I've been doing in my spare time. Actually, hold on. What do glass gems look like? Do they actually look like? Do they look blue, turquoise? Glass gems. Let me look on Google's. What the? Why am I finding multicolored corns right here? What? Why am I finding like multicolored corns here? These are not glass gems, I think. Unless, like, each of these like multicolored things, they are glass gems, and they look round enough. Okay, well, this is weird. Either way, I was actually thinking of the key that Angie has. You remember you've seen like the design for that key, and it has those 5 blue gems, like 4 round spherical gems, like in the corners, and one that looks like a heart, like in the middle. I wonder if those were the glass gems that the cousins have found. Like we have Maria, like assuming that each of them found like 1 glass gem, and Maria has 2 right now because of Beller, but assuming that each found like a glass gem, we have Maria, Beller, George, and Jessica. That's 4, and we have Angie in the middle with her heart glass gem. I wonder if it's a reference to that. That would actually be pretty. That would be pretty wholesome.
だからマリアが優勝なの。
Angie walked distractedly, pulled along by her brother. George and the others thought that she'd probably woken up too early and was tired, so they didn't try to talk to her much. As they reached the end of the forested path, the rose garden lay before them. And they could see the strong winds making the rose bushes wave. Waving a hand about and yelling, Maria ran. Rosa was waving to her from the front of the guest house.
私は一度自分の部屋に戻るぜ。そしたらすぐいとこ部屋に行くよ。
うん、わかった。じゃあ、後ほどね。
Jessica ran off in the direction of the mansion. George turned around, as though suggesting that they had better get going too. However, when he saw Angie standing still with a crabby look on her face, he realized that she might have been put in a bad mood by something.
大丈夫かい？
ああ、大丈夫だよ。悪いけど、先に行っててくれねえかな。
うん、わかったよ。じゃあ、後で。
George headed for the guest house. The only ones left in the rose garden were Balor, who was waving at George, and Angie, who was still staring at the ground and holding Balor's hand. For the past few minutes, he had repeatedly asked Angie what was wrong. He realized that this wasn't anything like a stomachache, or something obvious that had put her into a bad mood. However, young girls sometimes get upset for reasons that only they can understand. Balor knew this, so he didn't rush her in any way, and continued to gaze around the beautiful rose garden, holding her hand.
お兄ちゃん。
どうした？
どこ？ここ。
She asked a question, as though she was talking about something on the other side of the silver screen. Though Balor understood what that question meant, he played dumb.
どこって、六軒島だろ？
違うわ。
違わねえさ。
これのどこが六軒島だっていうのよ。
1986年10月4日のお前が知りたがってた六軒島だ。
嘘よ。
どうして？
こんなの嘘っぱちだわ。
Angie wrenched her hand from her brother's grip. Hot damn. That hand hit a rose and sent flower petals flying.
俺は嘘なんかつかね
え。これのどこが真実だっていうの？
Angie spat those words out. However, Balor's expression remained calm and composed.
何が気に入らない？
後宮金蔵ってあんな人のわけないでしょ？
孫たちとしばらくぶりに再会したなら、どこのじいさんだって目尻を下げるだろうぜ。
少なくとも後宮金蔵はそういう人じゃなかったでしょ？後宮金蔵ってのは
厳格で気難しく短気で怒りっぽい。
分かってるじゃない。何よあれのどこが後宮金蔵なのよ。ハロウィン？プレゼント交換？何よそれ。こんなの後宮金蔵じゃない。六軒島じゃない。
エンジェルは覚えてないのか？
何がよ。
こんなのはいつも恒例だったじゃねえか。
恒例？これが？
そうだよな。お前が親族会議に来たのは6歳より前なんだもんな。なら覚えてなくても無理はない。
覚えてなくてもって。
Angie understood what her brother was trying to say. However, she couldn't accept it.
後宮金蔵は確かに厳しい人だったさ。 若かった時は相当きつく息子たちに当たっていたらしい。それが半ばトラウマになって、クソ親父たちが未だじいさまのことをおっかながっていることは、まあ確かに外れじゃない。
And the grand tale of how Kinzo had restored the Ushinomiya family was more than enough to paint him as a rigid, terrifying man. Furthermore, Kinzo was an investor. All the legends and tales that made him seem more mysterious had probably worked in his business favor. At times, Kinzo may even have acted out this part people expected, endeavoring to make his presence all the more overpowering. And that's why the world at large spoke of Ushinomiya Kinzo as a strict, short-tempered man. And they even thought of him as a fickle, bold, incomprehensible eccentric.
でもそれはじいさまの外の顔だ。後ろ宮家で親類一同水入らずで過ごす時の顔じゃない。
目尻を下げて孫たちを溺愛する涙腺の緩んだ老人が後宮金蔵の本当の姿だっていうの。
エンジェだって遊んでもらったり頭を撫でてもらったりしたことがあるはずだ。本当に覚えてないのか？
Things like that might have happened once or twice, but that would only have been a mere whim of Kinzo's. My parents told me all the time, grandfather is a terrifying person, so make sure you don't mess up. And they always said that he is very scary, so take care.
だから怖い人なのよ。
幼いお前は親の言いつけを過剰に聞いて鵜呑みにする。よく言えば素直な、悪く言えば思い込みの激しい子だった。親父たちは行儀よくしてるようにと念を押していただけなんだ。
私見てたもん、知ってたもん。後宮金蔵は恐ろしい人だって怒鳴ってるところを見たことがあるもん。私は覚えてる、忘れない。
さっきも見た通りじいさまは唐突なお人だ。ひょっとすると何かを驚かそうとしたのかもしれない。あるいは親たちとの真剣な議論の中でつい怒鳴ってしまったこともあったかもしれない。
それを私が勝手に怯えて勝手にそうだと思い込んだっていうの？そんなはずないわ、そんなはずない。だって私は覚えてるもの忘れない。ちゃんと見たわ、後宮金蔵が怒鳴ってる恐ろしいところを。父さんも母さんも怯えていたわ。だからわかるの、私はわかる。
幼いお前が抱いたじいさまの印象はそのまま残り、お前の成長とともに膨らんだ。
How many times did Angie see Kinzo in her life? How old was she the last time she saw him? Angie, who got sick easily when under pressure, couldn't have gone to Rakenjima often. And since she was absent for the family conference when she was 6, her last memories of him must have come from when she was just 5 years old. Right. Like, she wasn't even 6, but 5. And even then, how often does she go to Rokenjima? Maybe like once a year, like the other cousins, like who knows? Maybe she saw Kinzo once at 5 years old. Maybe like once at 4 years old. 3 years, that is a bit stretching by that point, since she probably wouldn't even remember that age. But yeah, and this is something that applies to me as well, as an observer. it's like, no, he was a bad person. Look at all the bad stuff that he did in all these games. And that is what Angie is going for here.
お兄ちゃんだって6年間後宮金蔵には会ってないじゃない。
そうだな。でも6年ぶりに帰ってきて、じいさまは6年経っても全く変わってなかったって知ったぜ。
金蔵は気まぐれで何を考えてるかわからなくて、不気味なオカルト趣味の鬼人で。
オカルト趣味なのは間違いない。妖精の趣味にしちゃちょいと珍しいものだったのは事実だ。その不気味な収集品で孫を怖がらせてからかう悪い趣味があったことは俺も認める。
Even Beller had been pranked by Kienzo in the past. He showed me an attached case with 7 strange stakes in it. And said something about how witches in the Middle Ages used them in sacrificial rituals to gouge out the heart. When Kienzo first showed me those, I was pretty frightened. But looking back on it, it really was the kind of prank that could only fool a child. Grandfather only scared his grandchildren because he wanted to joke around with them.
じいさまはきっとお前にも同じことをしてからかったと思う。幼いお前がそれに怯えてじいさまを不気味で恐ろしい人だと思い込んだとしても無理もない話だと思う。
That would surely do wonders in giving Angie that impression, yeah, knowing him.
お兄ちゃんが何を言ってるのかわからない。
Angie bit her lower lip and stared at the ground. She said she didn't understand, but in truth, she understood perfectly and was refusing to accept it.
さっき客間でハロウィンのプレゼント交換があったな。
何よあれ。あんな甘ったるいこと後宮家でやるわけがない。
お前はまるで覚えてないんだな。
私もかつてプレゼントをもらったことがあるというの？覚えてない。そんなのあるわけがない。
オカルト好きで西洋かぶれのじいさまがハロウィンをやらないと思うか？じいさまのハッピーハロウィンはもう親族会議の挨拶みたいなもんだったぜ。エンジェラってもらってるはずだ。幼いってのは残酷だな。じいさまが心を込めて選んだろうプレゼントもお前の心には全く残らなかった。
The pumpkin candy.
私が幼かったから覚えてないだけで、あれが真実の10月4日だというの？
あの日も6年前と何も変わらずじいさまはハッピーハロウィンの声とともに客間にやってきたよ。そして俺との6年ぶりの再会に涙をこぼしてくれながら俺とプレゼントの交換をした。じいさまはエンジェが来れなかったことを残念がっていたよ。だからエンジェにぜひ渡してくれとキリエさんにプレゼントボックスを預けていた。
そんなプレゼント私は知らない。受け取ってない。
そうだな。お前に届けることはできなかったな。
私は信じない。あんな後宮金蔵なんて信じない。じゃあ親族会議はどうなの？遺産分配のためのきな臭いものじゃなかったの？親族兄弟たちはみんな資金繰りに困っていた。そのために金蔵の遺産を渇望していた。
エンジェはそんなことをどこで知った？
どこって、そうでしょ？それが真実でしょ？
幼いエンジェに 親父が自分の会社の経営が苦しいなどと相談すると思うか？親父だけじゃない、クラウスおじさんやエヴァおばさん、ローザおばさんが幼い園児に資金繰りに困っているから早く遺産が欲しいなんて話を仮にするにしてもお前がいる前ですると思うか？
You have a good point.
だってでも本当でしょ？
And that was the bottom line. Angie's words were not mistaken. Not only Rudolph, but Kraus, Hideyoshi, and Rosa as well, all had companies in money trouble. People started talking about the Rokkenjima explosion accident as though it was some sort of conspiracy, and a mystery imagined by the public covered the island. Weekly magazines and television shows researched the circumstances of Kinzo's children at the time, and in the future where Angie lived, that research had been made public.
お前がそれを知ったのは1986年よりも後のことだ。
でも事実でしょ？事実は真実！
だから六軒島での親族たちは遺産をめぐってギスギスしていたってわけか？そこにエンジェの幼い頃の親族会議では粗相がないように行儀よくしているようにと親に重ねて言われて緊張した記憶が重なる。
私の知っている六軒島が後ろ宮家が間違ってるっていうの？間違ってるのはお兄ちゃんよ！あんなのありえない！あるわけがない！私は認めないわ。あんな後ろ宮金蔵断じてあんな後ろ宮金蔵を受け入れることなんてできない！
エンジェは信じないのか？
ええ、信じない。お兄ちゃんがどういうつもりでこんなものを見せているのかわからないけれど、だってこれはお兄ちゃんのゲーム、いえゲーム版じゃない。ベアトだのベルンだの何人もの魔女が私の運命を嘲笑い、そのゲームで屈服させようとしてきたわ。でも私は真実を求めている。魔女たちのまやかしなんか通用しない。なるほどね、魔女たちめ。最後の資格にお兄ちゃんを送り込んできたってわけだわ。
Going a little overboard now, Angie.
そうだな。これは俺のゲームだ。だから確かにこれは俺の物語であり、俺が紡いでいる。だからこそもしもお前が島に来ることができたならというifを混ぜることができる。
ほら、お兄ちゃんの物語じゃない。全部お兄ちゃんの嘘っぱちの作り話じゃない。
そうだな。これは全て俺の作り話だ。
ほら、認めたわね。認めたじゃない。やっぱりこれはお兄ちゃんの嘘なのよ。どうして嘘をつくの？どうして私に真実を教えてくれないの？
真実よりもっと大切な、どうしても伝えたいことがあるからだ。
真実より大切なこと？何それ？わけわかんない。
それを分からせるためのものが俺のゲームだ。
Just as Battle's games were made to make Battle believe in witches, Battle's game was made to communicate something to Angie that was more important than the truth. I guess so. You know, for Angie, who has lived 12 years past that instant, all the things that she hears from external sources, they are painted as truth to her. That influenced what Angie thinks of the family and what happened. combine that with Angie's desire to find the absolute truth. And you kinda don't have much of an open window when it comes to interpreting things. Games never bring about their intended ends by force. After all, Battle's game could never be won for all eternity, unless Battler himself managed his loss. Battler's game was the same. This was a game that Battler couldn't win, unless Angie acknowledged it herself. So, Battler had advanced this game just as Battler had done in the past. To believe or not, to accept or not. The decision lay solely in the hands of the opponent. And so, Battler was trying to enshroud Angie with his own illusion.
ようやく理解したわ。これは私とお兄ちゃんのゲームなのね。
エンジェ、俺はお前とゲームをしているつもりはない。
いいえ、これはゲームだわ。私は1986年10月4日の真実が知りたいと願った。そしてお兄ちゃんは私にそれを見せると言ってこのゲームへ招いたわ。そしておかしな幻想を見せてそれが真実だと私に信じ込ませようとしている。おあいにくね。私魔女たちとのやりとりは慣れてるの。お兄ちゃんが優しそうな顔をして私を騙そうとしてることなんて百も承知なんだから。
Oof. I mean, can you really blame Angie for it? It is as she said. She dealt with witches before. Beatrice and Ben Castell, they have been quite ruthless in the way they handled their games, to a point where one can easily fall into that hole of not only not trusting what you see, but at the same time getting some ideas to stick in your head so hard that it's not possible to see anything else. I mean, when your brain is being drilled by the idea of Kinzo being a horrible person for the first 4 games or so, and a little past that, you kinda have a hard time seeing it differently. Granted, these games are the interpretations of their game masters. Beatrice, she viewed Kinzo that way, so someone else will write a game with Kinzo in a different light. Hell, even in the last game when Will talked to Kinzo, we felt a little bit of regret coming from him, but it still stands that when she was 6 years old, and with those past games, those are all Angie has to work with, so nah. The big brother knew that no words of his would have any effect on his enraged little sister, so he just quietly listened to Angie's words. But for Angie, even that was frustrating.
もうくだらない茶番は飽き飽きだわ。お兄ちゃんに真実を話す気がないと言うならもうおしまいにして。私は私の真実を自分で探す。お兄ちゃんには頼らない。そうよ。もともと頼るべき人間なんて私にはいなかったじゃない。私はいつだって一人ぼっちだったわよ。
悪いが、このゲームから降りることは許さない。
ああ、そうだったわね。ゲームマスターが負けを認めない限り、ゲームは永遠に終わらないんだったっけ。
そんなつもりはないさ。黙って話を聞けってだけのことだ。
ああ、そう。なら黙ってることにするわ。プレイヤーがいなくても、駒は勝手に動き、ゲームは進む。そうだったわよね。
そうだな。プレイヤーを離れ、少し傍観者になるといい。 そしてまた戻ってきたい時に戻ればいい。
そうさせてもらうわ。これはコンクラベよ。お兄ちゃんが真実をごまかすことを諦めるまでのね。真実より大切なこと？意味わかんない。そんなものあるわけがない。
あるんだよ、エンジ。仮に俺の物語が真実でなかったとしても、あった。お前は大切なものをこの島でなくしているんだ。
お父さん、お母さん、そしてお兄ちゃん。私が亡くしたのは家族と、そして全てよ。
She spat out those words as though no further questioning would do any good, and looked away. Even as he watched this, Metta's expression remained gentle.
勝手に進めなさいよ。じゃあね、お兄ちゃん。
物語だけはちゃんと見ていろよ。聞くだけでもいい。
気が向いたらね。じゃあ。
Angie's eyes clouded. Then, a particularly strong gust of wind blew by, sending her hair flying. The wind must have been carrying some dust with it. Angie's nose twitched, and she sneezed loudly.
お兄ちゃん、
なんだい？
いつまでここにいるの？なんかお天気変。ゲストハウスに帰ろうよ。
Angie's eyes weren't cloudy anymore. However, the tone and atmosphere about those eyes seemed somehow different from before. In a manner typical of young girls, Angie signaled that she was too bored and wanted to go do something. This Angie was clearly a 6-year-old Angie.
そうだね。じゃあ、エンジはゲストハウスに戻ってるといい。お兄ちゃんはまだここにいるよ。
どうして？もうすぐ雨が降ってくるよ。
そろそろ来るはずなんだ。だから、俺は待ってるよ。
待ってるって？誰？え？
Then, to Angie's eyes, it looked as though the strong winds were now carrying flecks of gold along with them. No, she had definitely seen something, but she wasn't able to describe what she had seen. So, to her, it had seemed like flakes of gold dancing on the wind.
来たか。ずいぶん待ったぜ。
Hello there, Beatrice. It was as though he was talking to the wind. Better spoke to the empty rose garden. That can't be right. After all, it was clear from his words that he was talking to someone right in front of him. So, Angie thought it must be someone that she alone couldn't see, and she rubbed her eyes. Then, when she opened her eyes wide, another large gust of wind blew past her. She shut her eyes immediately, and when she timidly opened them, from the other end of the rose garden, yes, from the path that led up from the arbor, a person appeared. To Angie, it looked as though she had appeared along with a cloud of gold flakes carried by the wind.
遅えぞ、ベアト。
そうか、むしろ早いぞ。
たまにはお前も一緒に船に乗ればいいんだ。
柵に捕まってお前と一緒に叫ぶか？
The thought of Beato herself screaming, "Oh Chiru." Yeah, make sure you yourself don't fall in the water. Wouldn't want you swimming with the fish right now, cause you would start smelling like them too.
いいぜ、叫ぼうぜ。
なるほど、それも悪くなかった。認めよう。どうやらわらわが来るのは遅かったらしい。
The pair casually walked up to each other and hugged. It looked like a pair of friends being reunited after several years. Angie, surprised by this unfamiliar woman, looked for somewhere to hide. However, her eyes met Bato's, and she lost her chance to escape.
Oh, そなたはエンジェか。
She was shocked to hear this unfamiliar woman suddenly use her name.
こやつも6歳の頃はなかなかに可愛かったではないか。
お兄ちゃん、この人誰？
お兄ちゃんの友人だ。
友人？それはあんまりだろうが。
何？
お兄ちゃんの友達？
こいつはベアトリーチェ。おじいちゃんから聞いたことないか？後宮家に黄金を授けてくれた黄金の魔女の話を。
Beatrice is... She's shocked beyond belief here, it seems. A friend, you say? Did I just get friend-zoned? I am the one to get friend-zoned? What do you think, Doctor? How in the world am I gonna get out of this one? All that progress I made with him. Lost! Beto, you went through all that stuff in the previous games, and even got married at the end of Game 6, and now you're worried about a high school level relationship issue? Have you ever considered that maybe he was just joking? You mean to tell me that I, Ogo no Majo, Beatrice, am misunderstanding a human's words? Preposterous! Last week you came here to tell me how Balor was having a crush on Noby when they went shopping for sweets. Wouldn't you?